Captain Zexera felt the ship shudder beneath his feet as another power surge raced through the damaged systems. The Harmony's light had been his home for 3 years, and he knew every sound she made. This was not a good sound. Report, he called out to his bridge crew, his voice carrying the calm authority that had earned him command of the Federation's most advanced research vessel. Science. Officer Crintal looked up from her station, her blue-tinted skin pale with worry. Captain, the gravitational anomaly was stronger than our sensors indicated. The wave hit us at close range and damaged our main engines. We're also losing atmosphere on decks 4 and 5. Zexthera closed his eyes for a moment. The Villani had been exploring space for over 300 years, and in all that time they had never encountered a situation quite like this. Their people were peaceful by nature, preferring to study and learn rather than fight, their ships reflected. This philosophy, built for comfort and scientific research, rather than survival in hostile conditions. What about our communication array? He asked. Partially functional, replied Communications Officer Veltar from his station. We can send short-range signals, but our long-range transmitters are badly damaged. Captain walked to the main view screen, where the swirling mass of the gravitational anomaly still dominated the view. It was beautiful in its own way, like a cosmic storm of twisted space and time. But beauty meant nothing when your ship was dying around you. Sir Crintal said quietly, life support is failing. We have maybe 6 hours before the air becomes too thin to breathe. Zexthera had commanded research missions to 17 different star systems. He had discovered new forms of life, mapped uncharted regions of space, and contributed to the Federation's vast database of scientific knowledge. But he had never faced a situation where his crew might die. Can we reach the nearest Federation outpost? He asked. Veltar shook his head. The closest help is 4 days away at maximum warp. Our engines can't even generate enough power for basic life support, much less warp drive. The bridge fell silent, except for the constant hum of failing systems. Zexthera looked at his crew, all of them young and eager scientists who had joined. His mission to explore the unknown, it trusted him to keep them safe, and he was failing them. What about a general distress signal? He asked finally. Sir Veltar looked confused. A broad-spectrum emergency beacon. Send it on all frequencies, all known communication channels. Someone might be close enough to help. Crintal frowned. Captain, we don't know who might receive such a signal. There could be hostile species in this region. The Federation database shows several unknown civilizations near this sector. Understood her concern. The Villani had been lucky in their exploration of space. They had encountered dozens of species, and almost all of them had been peaceful. The few exceptions had been easily avoided or reasoned with. But sending a general distress call meant announcing their location and vulnerability to anyone who might be listening. Do we have any other choice? He asked. The science officer looked at her instruments again. No, sir, they don't. Then prepare the signal. Meanwhile, light years away, the human exploration vessel New Frontier moved through space at a steady pace. Commander Jake Morrison sat in his captain's chair reading reports from the various departments. The ship was 3 months into a 6-month mission to explore the outer regions of human space, looking for new worlds that might be suitable for colonization. Commander said, Communications Specialist Tony Martinez from his station. I'm picking up something unusual. Morrison looked up from his reports. What kind of unusual? It's a distress signal, sir. But it's not from any human ship. The frequency and encoding are completely different from anything in our databases. The bridge crew turned to look at Martinez. In the 30 years since humans had developed faster-than-light travel, they had never encountered another intelligent species. There had been theories, of course, and plenty of speculation about what might be out there. But this was the first real evidence that humans were not alone in the universe. Are you certain it's a distress signal? Morrison asked. Yes, sir. Its pattern is unmistakable. Short bursts, repeating sequence broadcast on multiple frequencies. Someone is in trouble. Chief Engineer Lisa Carter spoke up from her station. Sir, if there really are aliens out there, shouldn't we contact Earth first? This could be the most important discovery in human history. Morrison considered this. The woman was right, of course. First contact with an alien species was something that Earth's governments had planned for extensively. There were protocols to follow, procedures to implement, and a whole department of specialists trained for this exact situation. But there was also a basic human instinct that Morrison couldn't ignore. Someone was asking for help. "How far away is the signal coming from?" he asked. Martinez checked his instruments. "About 2 light years, sir. We could be there in 18 hours if we push the engines." "What's their condition?" "Hard to tell, sir. The signal is weak and fragmentary. But if they're broadcasting a distress call, they must be in serious trouble." Morrison looked around his bridge crew. These were good people, all of them. Lisa Carter had joined the space service after losing her family in a transport accident, and she had devoted her life to making sure other people made it home safely. Security Chief Ryan Brooks was a former military officer who believed in protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. Medical officer Dr. Amanda Stone had turned down lucrative positions on Earth to serve on exploration missions, saying that someone needed to take care of the people who ventured into the unknown. "Sir," said Lieutenant Danny Walsh from the Tactical Station, "we should also consider that this could be a trap. An unknown species might be using a distress signal to lure us into an ambush." Morrison nodded. It was a valid concern. But as he thought about it, he realized that any species advanced enough to travel between stars would probably have better ways to attack humans than elaborate traps. And if they were truly in distress, every minute of delay might mean the difference between life and death. "Tony, can you clean up the signal? I want to know more about who's sending it." "I'm trying, sir. The language is completely alien, but I'm getting some mathematical sequences that might be coordinates. And there's something else. The signal is getting weaker." "Weaker how?" "Like their power's failing, sir. If we're going to respond, we need to do it soon." Morrison stood up and walked to the main view screen, where the stars stretched endlessly in all directions. Somewhere out there, beings he had never imagined were facing death in the cold darkness of space. They had reached out, hoping someone would hear their call for help. "Set course for the coordinates," he said finally. "Maximum warp, sir." Ryan Brooks looked concerned. "Shouldn't we at least send a message to Earth Command?" "We'll send a full report once we know what we're dealing with," Morrison replied. "But right now, people are dying. And if there's one thing I know about humans, it's that we don't leave people behind." The New Frontier changed course, its engines pushing the ship toward an encounter that would change the course of galactic history. Neither the humans nor the aliens knew it yet, but this simple act of responding to a distress call would become the foundation of humanity's reputation among the stars, as the ship accelerated toward the unknown. Morrison couldn't help but wonder what they would find when they arrived. But whatever it was, he knew his crew would face it with the same determination that had carried humanity from the caves of Earth to the stars themselves. The New Frontier dropped out of warp space with a shudder that ran through the entire ship. Commander Jake Morrison gripped his chair as the main view screen flickered to life, showing the scene ahead of them. "My God," whispered Dr. Amanda Stone. From her position near the back of the bridge, the alien vessel hung in space like a wounded bird. It was unlike anything in human design, with flowing curves and graceful lines that seemed more grown than built. But its beauty was marred by the obvious damage. Atmosphere vented from several hull breaches, creating frozen clouds of gas that sparkled in the light of the nearby star. The ship's lights flickered weakly, and it was slowly tumbling end over end. "Life signs?" Morrison asked. Tony Martinez worked frantically at his station. "I'm reading multiple life forms, sir. The signals are weak, but they're definitely alive. Maybe 30 or 40 individuals." "How long do they have?" Dr. Stone was already running calculations on her medical scanner. "Based on the rate of atmosphere loss, maybe 2 hours, probably less." Morrison turned to his chief engineer. "Lisa, can we help them?" Lisa Carter studied the readings on her screen. "Their power systems are completely different from ours, but the basic principles should be the same. If I can get over there with a repair team, we might be able to stabilize their life support." "Do it. Take whatever you need." Sir Ryan Brooks spoke up from his security station. "We should be careful about boarding an unknown vessel. We don't know anything about these beings or their intentions. Morrison looked at the damaged ship again. Right now, their only intention is staying alive. We can worry about everything else later. Within minutes, the new frontier had moved closer to the alien vessel. The docking procedure was complicated by the fact that the alien ship's airlocks were completely different from human designs. Lisa Carter and her engineering team managed to create a temporary seal using emergency patches and portable atmosphere generators. The first human to step aboard an alien vessel was Chief Engineer Lisa Carter, followed closely by two of her technicians. The artificial gravity inside the alien ship was lighter than Earth normal, and the air tasted strange despite being breathable. The corridors were wider than human ships, with soft lighting that seemed to come from the walls themselves. "Is incredible," Carter whispered into her communicator. "The technology is completely different from ours, but it's clearly advanced. The ship feels more like a living thing than a machine." She made her way toward what her tricorder indicated was the ship's engineering section, following the flow of the ship's power conduits. Along the way, she passed several closed doors, behind which she could hear movement and voices speaking in an alien language. Meanwhile, on the bridge of the new frontier, Morrison was trying to establish communication with the alien crew. Doni. Martinez had been working to decode their language, using mathematical concepts and simple pictures to build a basic understanding. "I think I've got something, sir," Martinez said. "They're using a combination of musical tones and mathematical sequences. It's like they're singing their language. Can you tell them we're here to help?" "I'm trying, sir. I think they understand that we're not hostile, but they seem scared of something else." Morrison was about to ask what Martinez meant when the ship's sensors began screaming warnings. Lieutenant Danny Walsh looked up from his tactical station with alarm. "Sir, we've got multiple contacts approaching fast. 6 ships, moving in formation. They're not broadcasting any identification signals. How long until they reach us?" 20 minutes, sir." Morrison felt his stomach drop. He'd hoped they would have more time to help the aliens and figure out the situation. But now they were about to face unknown vessels while trying to rescue a damaged ship. "Any response to our hail?" "Nothing, sir. They're jamming all communications." On the alien ship, Lisa Carter had reached the engineering section and was working frantically to stabilize the power systems. The alien technology was fascinating, but she didn't have time to study it properly. She could hear the stress in Commander Morrison's voice over the communicator as he updated her on the approaching ships. "I need more time," she said. "Their power core is completely different from anything we've seen. It's like they're using controlled gravity fields to generate energy." "You have 15 minutes, Morrison replied, "and we need to get you out of there." Carter worked faster, using her understanding of basic physics to bridge the gap between human and alien technology. Her 2 technicians helped by running cables and installing temporary power boosters. But the work was slow and dangerous. On the new frontier, Dr. Stone was preparing the medical bay for potential alien casualties. She had no idea what their biology might be like, but she was setting up equipment that could handle a variety of life forms. Commander Martinez called out excitedly, "I'm getting a clearer signal from the alien ship. I think their captain wants to speak with you?" Morrison nodded. "Put it through." The view screen flickered, and for the first time in human history, a human being looked directly at an alien intelligence. Captain Zexthera appeared on the screen, his elongated face and large eyes showing obvious fear and exhaustion. "Human vessel," came the translated voice, with a strange musical quality that Martinez's computer couldn't quite reproduce. "We are grateful for your assistance, but you must leave immediately. The ships approaching are Krillian raiders. They have been hunting us for days." Morrison leaned forward. "We're not leaving without you. You do not understand," Zexthera said, his voice becoming more urgent. "The Krillians are ruthless. They take prisoners as slaves and destroy everything else. Your ship appears to be smaller than ours. You cannot fight them. Let us worry about that," Morrison replied. "How many of your people are aboard?" 37 souls, Zexthara said. "But human, you must understand. We know of your species. You are from Earth, a death world. We never expected that beings from such a place would answer our distress call." Morrison was puzzled. Deathworld. Science Officer Crintel appeared beside her captain on the screen. Your planet is classified as a Class 12 Deathworld in our databases. The gravity, the weather, the predators, the diseases, how anything survives there, we do not know. Your species is legendary throughout this region of space. Legendary how? Beings who can survive anything, Zexera said. But also as beings who are incredibly dangerous. Most species avoid contact with Deathworlders. Morrison was beginning to understand. These aliens saw humans as some kind of mythical creatures, beings so tough and dangerous that they were best avoided. But instead of the monsters they expected, they'd found people willing to risk their lives to help strangers. Commander Danny Walsh called out, "The approaching ships are powering weapons. They'll be in firing range in 8 minutes. Morrison looked at the alien captain on the screen. "What do the Krillians want?" "Our research," Zexthora replied. "We have been studying star formation in this region. Our scanners can detect resources that others cannot find. They want to steal our technology and sell our crew as slaves." "Over my dead body," Morrison said quietly. On the screen, both aliens looked shocked. Zexthara spoke carefully, "Commander. You cannot fight an entire raider fleet to protect strangers. It is not logical." Morrison smiled grimly. "Captain, you're about to learn something about humans. We don't abandon people in need, and we especially don't let pirates harm innocent people." "But they outnumber you 6-1, Crintal protested. Lisa Morrison called into his communicator. "How much longer?" 2 minutes, sir. Maybe 3. Morrison turned back to the screen. "Captain Zexthera, I need you to trust me. Can your people handle high-gravity acceleration?" "For short periods, yes. But why? Because we're going to show these Krillians what happens when they threaten people under human protection?" The alien captain stared at him in disbelief. "Would risk your ship and crew for beings you have never met? That's what humans do," Morrison replied. "Danny, bring us to battle stations. Brienne, prepare boarding parties. Tony, send a message to the approaching ships." "What should I tell them, sir?" Morrison's expression hardened. "Tell them they have one chance to leave peacefully. After that, they'll have to deal with humans." On the alien ship, Captain Zexara turned to his science officer. "Crintal, are you recording this?" "Yes, sir." "Good. If we survive this, the Federation needs to know what these humans are truly like." The new frontier finished its preparations. As the Krillian raiders approached, in the next few minutes, the galaxy would witness something unprecedented: humans in combat. Fighting not for themselves, but for alien strangers who had called for help. The Krillian fleet emerged from warp space like a pack of hunters closing in on wounded prey. Their ships were dark and angular, built for war rather than exploration. Each vessel bristled with weapons, and their formation showed the discipline of experienced raiders who had done this many times before. On the bridge of the lead Krillian vessel, War Chief Grayton studied the scene before him. The damaged research ship was exactly what his scouts had reported: a typical Federation science vessel with no weapons and a crew of soft academics. But the second ship was something he had never seen before. "What is that vessel?" he asked his tactical officer. "Unknown design, War Chief? It appears to be smaller than our ships, but the energy readings are strange. The hull composition is different from anything in our databases." Gracton leaned forward in his command chair. "Hail them. Let us see what manner of fools would interfere." With Krillian business, communication channel opened, and Gracton found himself looking at a human face for the first time. Commander Morrison appeared calm and determined, showing none of the fear that Gracton expected from someone facing overwhelming odds. "I am War Chief Gracton of the Krillian fleet," he announced.
Ow.
"You are interfering with our salvage operation. Leave immediately or be destroyed." Morrison's expression didn't change. "I am Commander Morrison of the human vessel New Frontier. The ship you're threatening is under our protection. You have one chance to leave peacefully." Gracton laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the bridge. "Human? I have heard stories of your kind, Deathworlders who think they are warriors. But you are only one small ship against 6. Your bravery will not save you. See about that," Morrison replied, and cut the transmission. Greichten turned to his crew. Humans think they can frighten us with their reputation. Show them what happens to those who challenge the Krillian fleet. On the new frontier, the atmosphere was completely different, instead of the panic or resignation that would have gripped most species facing such odds. The human crew moved with focused efficiency. They had trained for situations like this, and their training was taking over. All sections report ready for combat, announced Ryan Brooks from his security station. Boarding parties are standing by. Dr. Stone looked up from her medical station. Sickbay is prepared for casualties. I've also set up emergency treatment areas on decks 3 and 7. Commander Morrison nodded. Tony, any word from Lisa? Almost finished with the alien ship's life support, sir. She says she needs 2 more minutes. She's got them. Danny, what's our tactical situation? Lieutenant Walsh studied his displays. The Krillian ships are moving to surround us. Standard pirate tactics? They want to disable our engines and force us to surrender. Their weapons are powerful, but their ships appear to be older designs. Morrison walked to the main view screen, where the Krillian fleet was taking position. They're thinking like pirates, not soldiers. They want to capture us intact so they can sell our ship and crew. That's going to be their first mistake. On the alien ship, Captain Zexera watched the approaching raiders with growing terror. His people had no experience with combat, and the idea of being enslaved by the Krillians was almost too horrible to consider. But even more disturbing was watching the humans prepare for battle. They act as if this is normal, Science Officer, Crintal observed. Look at how calmly they move, how efficiently they work. They are not afraid. How can they not be afraid? Zexthera asked. Those ships could destroy them easily. Lisa Carter's voice came over the communicator from the engineering section. Captain, I've got your life support stabilized. Your people should be safe now, but I recommend evacuating everyone to the lower decks. Things are about to get very dangerous up here, Zexthara said. Your commander is about to sacrifice his ship for strangers. This is not logical. Carter's laugh surprised him. Captain, you obviously don't know much about humans. We don't abandon people in need. We really don't like bullies. Back on the new frontier, the crew was putting the finishing touches on their battle preparations. But they weren't just preparing to fight. They were preparing to fight in ways that would shock their enemies. Ryan Morrison called to his security chief, I want boarding parties ready to move the moment we create an opening. These pirates think they know how space combat works. Time to show them they're wrong. Brooks smiled grimly. Understood, sir. We'll be ready. Dr. Stone looked concerned. Commander, are you sure about this? The tactics you're planning are extremely dangerous. Amanda, everything about this situation is dangerous. But that's the advantage of being from a death world. Dangerous is what we do best. The first shots came from the Krillian fleet, energy beams designed to disable the New Frontier's engines. But Morrison had positioned his ship carefully, using the damaged alien vessel as partial cover. The shots that did hit were absorbed by the ship's shields, which held better than the raiders expected. Return fire, Morrison ordered, the New Frontiers. Weapons were not as powerful as the Krillian guns, but they were used with precision that surprised the raiders. Instead of trying to match firepower, the humans targeted specific systems, communications arrays, sensor equipment, weapon mounts. War Chief, the Krillian tactical officer, reported, their weapons are weaker than ours, but their targeting is extremely accurate. They're hitting critical systems with every shot, Greichten snarled. Then get closer. Board their ship and take it by force. This was exactly what Morrison had been waiting for. Danny, bring us about. Ryan, prepare for boarding action. What happened next would become legendary throughout the galaxy. Instead of trying to avoid the boarding attempt, the New Frontier moved directly toward the nearest Krillian ship. The two vessels crashed together with a grinding impact that would have terrified most species. But humans had been fighting in close quarters for thousands of years, and they brought that experience to space combat. The moment the ships made contact, Ryan Brooks and his security teams were already moving. They cut through the Krillian hull with cutting torches and explosive charges, creating their own boarding route instead of using the airlock. The Krillian crew, expecting a normal boarding action, found themselves facing humans who fought with a ferocity they had never encountered. The raiders were skilled fighters, but they fought for profit and glory. The humans fought for something different. They fought for people who couldn't fight for themselves. "This is impossible," Gregton roared as reports came in from his boarding parties. "They are outnumbered, but they fight like demons. How can beings from any world be so savage?" His tactical officer had no answer. The reports coming in were almost unbelievable. The humans were fighting in damaged sections of ship without proper atmosphere, using equipment in ways that should have been impossible. They moved through the Krillian vessel like they belonged there, turning the raiders' own ship against them. On the alien ship, Captain Zexthara and his crew watched in amazement as the battle unfolded. The humans had turned what should have been a hopeless situation into a victory through pure determination and tactics that no other species would have attempted. "They are fighting 6 ships at once," Crintal said in disbelief, "and they are winning." "Record everything," Zexthara ordered. "The Federation must know what these humans are capable of." But the most shocking moment came when the tide of battle turned completely. Commander Morrison, seeing that one of the Krillian ships was severely damaged and losing life support, made a decision that defined humanity's future reputation. Tony hailed the damaged raider vessel. He ordered, "Sir?" Martinez looked confused. "Do it." The transmission opened to show the bridge of the damaged Krillian ship, where the crew was struggling with failing systems and injuries from the battle. "This is Commander Morrison," he said. "We're prepared to offer medical assistance and evacuation to your crew." The Krillian captain stared at him in complete shock. "You would help us? After we attacked you?" "I don't leave people to die in space," Morrison replied. "Surrender now, and we'll make sure your crew survives." War Chief Gregton, watching this exchange from his own ship, felt something he had never experienced before: respect for an enemy. These humans fought like warriors, but they showed mercy like saints. It was a combination that his mind could barely comprehend. The battle was far from over, but already word of humanity's response to the distress call was spreading throughout the galaxy. The Deathworlders had shown they were everything the stories claimed, and more than anyone had imagined. The battle had been raging for 20 minutes when War Chief Gregton realized he had made a terrible mistake. The humans were not fighting like any species he had ever encountered. They were treating space combat like a contact sport, using tactics that should have been impossible. "Report from Boarding Party 7, his communications officer called out. "They say the humans are fighting in sections with no atmosphere, using magnetic boots and emergency suits to move through areas that should be uninhabitable." Gregton watched his tactical display with growing disbelief. 3 of his ships were already severely damaged, and the humans showed no signs of slowing down. Worse, they seemed to be getting more aggressive as the battle continued. On the new frontier, Commander Morrison coordinated the fight with the calm efficiency of someone who had trained for this his entire life. But his crew was doing things that went far beyond their training. "Ryan's status report," Morrison called to his security chief. Brooks' voice came back through the communicator, slightly breathless from combat. "We've taken control of the first raider ship, sir. Their crew is secured in the cargo bay. Lisa's team is working on using their own weapons against the other ships. Casualties? Minor injuries only. These raiders fight hard, but they're not used to facing humans in close combat." Morrison nodded. The Krillians were skilled fighters, but they had spent years preying on peaceful species. They had never faced an opponent that fought back with such intensity. "Danny, bring us around for another pass. Target their formation leader." Lieutenant Walsh worked his controls with practiced skill. "Aye, sir," setting course for the war chief's vessel. What happened next shocked even the human crew. Instead of engaging in long-range combat, Morrison ordered the new frontier to ram directly into the side of the Krillian command ship. The impact sent both vessels spinning, but the human ship's stronger hull design allowed it to survive the collision better. "All boarding parties, go," Morrison ordered. The human security teams poured into the Krillian command ship through the breach created by the ramming attack, but this time they brought something new: the alien research team. Captain Zexthara had insisted on helping. Despite his crew's lack of combat experience, these humans risk their lives for us, he had told his science officer. Can do is help them save others. The Villani had contributed their advanced sensors and communication equipment to the fight. While the humans engaged the Krillian crew in combat, the aliens worked to disable the ship's weapons and engines from the inside. This is incredible, Crintal whispered, as she watched Ryan Brooks lead his team through the Krillian corridors. They fight like they have no fear of death. It's not that they don't fear death, Dr. Stone replied, having joined the boarding party to treat wounded on both sides. It's that they fear letting others die more than they fear dying themselves. The doctor's words proved prophetic as the battle reached its climax. War Chief Galactic, cornered on his own bridge, made a desperate decision. He activated his ship's self-destruct sequence, hoping to take the humans with him. You may be warriors, he snarled at Commander Morrison, who had led the final assault. On the bridge, but you will die with us. Morrison looked at the countdown timer on the Krillian control panel. 2 minutes until the ship's reactor overloaded. His team could evacuate in time, but there were still Krillian crew members trapped. In other sections of the ship, Ryan, get everyone out. Now. Brooks looked at the tactical situation. Sir, we can't evacuate everyone in time. There are too many prisoners and some of them are wounded. Morrison made a decision that would define humanity's reputation for generations. Then we stay and get them out. Sir Brooks couldn't believe what he was hearing. You heard me? We don't leave people behind. It's not our people, not the aliens we're protecting, and not even enemy prisoners. The next 90 seconds became the stuff of legend. The human crew worked with desperate efficiency to evacuate not just their own people, but every Krillian crew member they could find. Dr. Stone treated wounded raiders even as the ship's structure began to fail around them. Lisa Carter and her engineers worked to disable the self-destruct while simultaneously cutting through bulkheads to reach trapped crew members. 30 seconds, Tony Martinez announced over the communicator. We're not going to make it, one of the human security officers said. Yes, we are, Morrison replied firmly. Nobody dies today if we can help it. In the end, it was the combined efforts of humans and aliens that saved everyone. Captain Zexthera, as people used their advanced transporter technology to beam the last group of survivors to safety just as the Krillian ship's reactor began to overload. The explosion lit up space for several seconds. But when the light faded, both the New Frontier and the Harmony's light were intact. Their crews safe. War Chief Galactic found himself in the New Frontier's medical bay. Being treated by Dr. Stone for injuries from the battle, he stared at the human doctor with confusion. Why? He asked. Why did you save us? We attacked you. We tried to kill you. Dr. Stone looked up from her medical scanner. Because that's what humans do. We help people who need help, even if they're our enemies. But this makes no sense. You're raiders. We would have enslaved you and your alien friends. That's exactly why we stopped you, she replied. But once you were defeated, you became patients who needed medical care. I don't pick and choose who I help based on what they've done. In another part of the ship, Commander Morrison was speaking with the remaining Krillian captains. 4 of the 6 raider ships had been captured or destroyed, and their crews were now prisoners aboard the New Frontier. What will you do with us? Asked one of the Krillian officers. Morrison considered the question. That depends on you. Are you willing to give up raiding and find honest work? The officer looked shocked. You would release us? I'm not a jailer. Morrison said. I'm an explorer. If you promise to stop attacking innocent people, we'll drop you off at the nearest space station with enough supplies to start over. And if we refuse, then we'll turn you over to the Federation authorities. But I'd rather give you a chance to choose a better path. The Krillian officers looked at each other in amazement. No one had ever given them a choice like this before. In their culture, defeat meant death or slavery. The concept of mercy was almost unknown to them. Captain Zexthera witnessed this exchange from the doorway. Later, he would write in his report to the Federation, the humans show a combination of fierce combat ability and unexpected compassion that is unprecedented in galactic history. They fight like warriors but think like healers. As the immediate Crisis passed. The crew of the New Frontier began to understand what they had accomplished. They had not just won a battle. They had shown the galaxy what humans were capable of when they fought for others. Commander Tony Martinez said, "I'm getting communication requests from several nearby star systems. Word of what happened here is spreading fast." Morrison nodded. "What are they saying?" "They want to know if the stories are true. If humans really will answer distress calls and protect innocent people." "And what are you telling them?" Martinez smiled. "I'm telling them that if they're in trouble and they call for help, humans will come, no matter what the odds, no matter what the danger." The battle was over, but its consequences were just beginning. Throughout the galaxy, the story of the humans who answered an alien distress call and fought 6 ships to protect strangers was being told and retold. The Deathworlders had shown they were everything the legends claimed, and something more. They were protectors who would cross the galaxy to help those in need, warriors who would fight impossible odds to defend the innocent, and healers who would show mercy even to their enemies. The galaxy had never seen anything like them, and it would never be the same. 3 days after the battle, the New Frontier and the Harmony's Light moved together through space toward the nearest Federation station. The 2 ships had become more than just vessels traveling the same route. They had become symbols of something new in the galaxy. Dr. Amanda Stone worked alongside the alien medical officer, Healer Yulvan, in the New Frontier's medical bay. They were treating the last of the wounded Krillian prisoners, but more importantly, they were learning from each other. "Your healing methods are very different from ours," Yulvan observed, as Stone used a human medical scanner to check a patient's vital signs. "You focus on repairing damage quickly, while we prefer to help the body heal itself slowly." Stone nodded. "Humans have always had to heal fast. On our world, staying injured too long usually meant death. But your methods are gentler. Maybe we can combine both approaches. You would share your medical knowledge with us. Of course, healing shouldn't have boundaries between species." In another part of the ship, Tony Martinez was working with the Villani communications officer, Veltar, to establish better translation protocols. The 2 species had very different ways of expressing ideas, but they were finding common ground. "Your language is fascinating," Veltar said. "It has so many words for conflict and struggle, but also many words for cooperation and friendship." Laughed. "That's humans for you. We're complicated. We can fight each other over the smallest things, but we'll also die for complete strangers." "This is what confuses many species about humans," Veltar replied. "You are warriors and peacemakers. At the same time, maybe that's what the galaxy needs," Martinez said. "Someone who can fight when necessary, but who wants peace more than victory." On the bridge of the Harmony's Light, Captain Zexera was completing his official report to the Federation Council. The document would become one of the most important first contact reports in galactic history. "Science Officer Crintal," he called to his second-in-command. "Have you finished your analysis of human behavior during the crisis?" Crintal looked up from her workstation. "Yes, sir. The data is remarkable. The humans showed no signs of panic or despair, even when facing overwhelming odds. Instead, they became more focused and determined in their treatment of prisoners. Unprecedented, sir. They treated captured enemies with the same care they showed their own crew. Several Krillian officers have asked to speak with Federation authorities about changing their way of life." Zexthora nodded. "Include all of that in the report. Council needs to understand what these humans are capable of." Meanwhile, in the New Frontiers conference room, Commander Morrison was meeting with the reformed Krillian officers. War Chief Gregton sat at the table, his arm in a sling from the battle, but his eyes clear and thoughtful. Commander Gregton said, "My people have been raiders for generations. We know no other way of life but what you showed us protecting. Strangers showing mercy to enemies, it makes us question everything we believed." Morrison leaned forward. "Now, what do you want to do about it? Some of my officers want to return to raiding when you release us. They say you are too soft, that mercy is weakness. And what do you think?" Greighton was quiet for a long moment. "I think that anyone who can fight 6 ships and win and offer medical care to their enemies, understand strength better than we do. I would like to learn this human way of thinking. Federation has programs for former raiders who want to change, Morrison said. They'll help you find honest work, maybe even join exploration crews. You would trust us with such opportunities? People deserve a chance to become better than they were. That's something else humans believe in. As the two ships approached the Federation station, word of their arrival had spread throughout the local systems. The station's commander, Admiral Felthar of the Centauri Republic, watched the approaching vessels with great interest. Status report, he called to his communications officer. Both ships are in good condition, sir. The human vessel is escorting the damaged research ship, and they have several former Krillian raiders aboard as willing prisoners. Willing prisoners? Yes, sir. According to the reports, the humans offered them medical care and the chance to reform rather than simply executing them or turning them over for punishment. Admiral Felthar had been dealing with the Krillian raiders for years. They were a constant threat to peaceful shipping, and the Federation had struggled to find effective ways to stop them. The idea that humans had not only defeated them, but convinced some to change their ways was almost unbelievable. Prepare a full diplomatic welcome, he ordered. Contact the Federation Council. They need to know about this immediately. The docking procedures at the station drew crowds of curious aliens who had never seen humans before. The crew of the New Frontier found themselves the center of attention as they helped transfer the wounded and coordinated the peaceful surrender of the Krillian prisoners. Lisa Carter worked with the station's engineers to help repair the harmonies. Light, sharing human engineering techniques that impressed the Federation experts. Her willingness to freely share knowledge was something that many species found remarkable. In our culture, she explained to the station's chief engineer, knowledge belongs to everyone. The more people who understand how things work, the safer everyone becomes. Dr. Stone set up temporary medical facilities to help process the various casualties from the battle. She found herself working with medical officers from 6 different species, and each exchange taught her something new. Your species adapts very quickly, observed Dr. Sylvan, the station's Andorian medical chief. Most beings would be overwhelmed. By treating so many different physiologies, we've had to be adaptable, Stone replied. On Earth, we deal with extreme environments and dangerous creatures every day. Helping different species isn't much different from treating humans who live in different climates. The formal diplomatic meetings began the next day. Commander Morrison found himself sitting across from Admiral Felthar in a panel of Federation representatives answering questions about human intentions and capabilities. Commander Admiral Felthar said, "Your actions have created quite a stir throughout the Federation. Many species want to know if humans can be trusted as allies." "What do you mean?" "Species that can fight as effectively as you did, but also show mercy to enemies, represent something new in galactic politics. Some governments are excited about the possibility of human protection. Others are concerned about human intentions." Morrison considered his response carefully. "Admiral, humanity didn't come to space looking for enemies or subjects. It came looking for knowledge, new worlds, and new friends. If people want our help, we'll provide it freely. If they want to be left alone, we'll respect that. But we won't stand by and watch innocent people suffer if we can help them. And if other species challenge human authority, we don't want authority over anyone," Morrison said firmly. "We want cooperation. We want to build something better together." The Federation Council's response came 3 days later. Was transmitted simultaneously to hundreds of worlds throughout known space. Its contents would change the course of galactic history. The Federation Council recognizes the human species as a valuable addition to our galactic community, the message read. Humanity's unique combination of courage, compassion, capability makes them ideal candidates for peacekeeping and exploration missions. We invite human participation in Federation affairs and offer full membership to Earth and its colonies. But the invitation came with a request. The Council wanted humans to serve as a rapid response force for emergencies throughout Federation space. When disasters struck, when pirates attacked, when peaceful species needed protection, humans would be the ones to answer the call. Commander Morrison accepted the invitation on behalf of humanity, but he added his own conditions. Humans would serve as protectors and helpers, not as conquerors or rulers. They would work alongside alien species as equals, sharing knowledge and resources freely. 6 months later, the human rapid response fleet was operational. Ships like the New Frontier patrolled the galaxy, answering distress calls and protecting innocent beings from those who would harm them. The crews were mixed, with humans working alongside aliens who had learned to appreciate both human courage and human compassion. War Chief Gregton served as security chief on one of these vessels. His raider past transformed into a dedication to protecting others. Captain Zexthara worked with human explorers to map new star systems. His scientific knowledge combined with human determination to push the boundaries of known space. The galaxy had never been safer or more unified. Or it's thought twice before. Attacking ships that might be under human protection. Peaceful species explored further from home, knowing that help was available if they called for it. And throughout known space, the story was told of the day when aliens in distress called for help. Inhumans answered. In years to come, historians would mark this as the moment when the galaxy truly became a community. It started with a simple distress call and a human commander who refused to leave people behind. It grew into something that changed everything. The Deathworlders had come to space not as conquerors, but as protectors. And the galaxy was better for it.